Hello, I'm Sabrina Wright, and I am presenting my Service Learning and Personal Plan project. So I started with a quote just to set the tone for my presentation. So the quote says, ending educational inequality is going to require systematic change and a long-term sustained effort. There are no shortcuts and no silver bullets. And that's a quote from Wendy Kopp. So for my persuasive paper, I chose to focus on educational inequality. As an education major who is close to ending her studies and will be in the field shortly, I thought that this was a very important topic, and it's also one that I feel very strongly about. My focus was on the various disparities that students may face in regards to education, but one that I found especially prevalent is socioeconomic status, or SES. Socioeconomic status is class and is measured by a combination of income, education, and various other factors. Class can have numerous effects when it comes to education, and depending on one's classification, can affect one's educational experiences and opportunities. Those considered upper class may have opportunity or may have experiences that may be considered better. When I say better, they may have more money to fund the school, which would provide various aspects such as music programs, art programs, tech to keep up with today's society, basically things that will help not help these children become well-rounded and be ready for today's society. On the other hand, students from lower income or middle income families may not have these experiences. These children tend to go to schools in urban areas, which are considered low income schools, and they lack the money financially and the resources to have these same things for these children, which unfortunately puts them at a disadvantage when it comes to being more well-rounded and being ready for everything that today's society has to offer. So looking through organizations, I found an organization that was actually close to me. Herb Ed is the name of the organization, and it is based in Philadelphia, which is actually where I live. So I decided to explore that because it is closer to me and it talks about topics that are relative to where I will be teaching. So Herb Ed organization is a nonprofit based in Philadelphia. It was founded in 2016 and was founded by public school students. So the two people who founded, I believe it's two people who founded the organization, were both public school students. They attended schools that were urban area schools, and the whole board, they're all either past or present public school students. So all of these emotions, all of these feelings, ideas, standpoints are all coming from the people who have been directly affected. So the focal point for the organization is urban education. I included the mission statement. Herb Ed is a nonprofit based in Philadelphia that advocates for fully funded, safe, and healthy public schools in order to provide students with an equitable and quality education we deserve. We are an organization led by those who have been most affected by issues facing urban public schools. Through political education and community organizing, we are amplifying our voices, the voices of public school students, to give students the education they deserve and are owed. And this is a picture of the board. Reading about most of the people on the board, a lot of them are in college or of college age. And as I said before, they have all been in urban public schools before. So we're going to focus on certain areas, and root causes is going to be our first one. So we're looking at what is causing the need for the services of Herb Ed. Poverty is a large one. People in poverty are considered low income, and these people may not have enough money for housing or food. They may struggle with finding resources and things of that nature, which would mean that the students in this area will go to schools in urban areas or low income areas, or even not in school at all. There are some cases where parents cannot afford to send their children to school, and if they don't qualify for certain programs, they cannot send their children to school. Political participation is a big cause, I believe. I believe that in some cases there are political parties who will campaign and say that they will focus on education, but then once they're in office, unfortunately, the focus goes elsewhere, not leaving any room to focus on the inequalities that are happening in the education system. Lack of funding. Schools that are in more low income areas do not have the resources, which will go into lack of resources as well. Textbooks are old, ripped up, missing information, desks falling apart. Even the buildings, the organization that I am doing my research on actually is doing a campaign for asbestos right now because some schools are literally containing asbestos that can literally make children sick just being in the building trying to get an education. And these are problems that need to be fixed. I think fixed mindsets and no advocacy will go into each other. If a person has a mindset of, well, this is just life, or, there's nothing they can do about it, then they won't advocate for change. And one of the best things I think that anyone can do is continue to advocate for education, so that we can have our voices heard, so that children can have equal opportunities. So the organization's response to need, I was looking more at what the organization has done, and they've done a lot of rallying throughout Philadelphia. So City Hall, different events that people have had, they will make a booth and rally about education, have meetings with political figures in Philadelphia as well as in PA. And they also offer scholarships for students in need. They have given over 9,000 scholarships to students that need the help. I believe that they are more justice aimed than they are charity aimed. And I say this because it's not about giving money. Yes, they do give money, but the focus more is to have change. They want governments to take a stance. They want them to, provide opportunities for these students and to help them become successful people. So the justice response, looking at things that if they were to change, then we may not need the resources from this organization. I think the allocation of funds is definitely one. If we take money away from prison systems or building things that will bring money into communities and focus more on schools, then we could basically create the next generation of people that we are going to need, and we will invest in them in a way that they will be successful. Giving children opportunities to be well-rounded, which is what we need in people, is a very good idea. Rebuilding libraries and other areas for students to utilize. I live in an urban area, and the closest library to me is driving distance. So if a child does not have access to a car or does not have money for bus fare, then they don't have the resources to even get to these libraries. I've actually worked with students in my area who have never seen the inside of a library. Politicians physically visiting urban schools and seeing what needs to be done. I think that in order for you to fully understand the depth of the situation and to see how these areas are not getting the resources that they need, when you can physically see it, I feel like it's easier for you to not understand, but you see the need that these children are struggling. And they're trying to make the best of it. The teachers are trying to make the best of it, but they can only work with what they have. And like I said, advocacy and having additional teaching staff just to be there to support the children. If we cannot change in any other way, support is a big thing. So for biblical justice, I took some information from a previous class that I had. And we learned about the bishop's perspective. So in the bishop's perspective, the focus is on human dignity as well as fair and equal treatment. So it's basically focusing on a service for all people, but it also focuses especially on the poor. So this organization is accepting of all people, no matter race, sex, anything, they will allow you to work with them. They will work with you. However, their focus is on urban education. That is the primary focus, but they are very inclusive. My personal plan, so I'm not sure whether I'm just going to make some donations or if I really want to be active within because it's so close to me. But sharing information in media is definitely something I can do. I am a person who uses social media often, and I can use this outlet to help this organization reach more people because I believe that what they are doing is very important. Attending events, they have virtual and in-person events. So, attending events, listening to what they have to say, putting my input in, giving them ideas, potentially joining because they do have opportunities for people to join, and just simply calling representatives, calling government officials or school district officials and letting them know that we are going to continue to advocate for these kids is very important. So in conclusion, like I said, socioeconomic status is something that affects children and students, whether it has anything to do with them or not. And this organization is trying to level the playing field. As I said, socioeconomic status is something that children are born into, and it should not be something that they have to suffer with in the future. Students should be given the opportunity and the resources to become successful adults the same way that anybody else is. And I believe that this organization is trying their hardest and doing a great job at trying to get this to happen. And this is my resources. I included one of the resources from my actual paper, and then the book that I used, as well as the website itself. Thank you.